Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted and privileged to welcome a very, very accomplished leader from the world of academia, Dr. Colby B Jubenville from Nashville, USA.
Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville, Tennessee, USA. Colby, welcome to the show.
Ash, thanks for having me. Shout out to Amanda Banks for getting us connected. Love your work. Love you giving back to the world. And then we talked on our pre-call that you're going to be in Nashville. So I look forward to seeing you then and celebrating the wedding and look forward to some time together today. So thank you.
Look forward to that. Dr. Jubenville is the director of the Center for Student Coaching and Success at the Middle Tennessee State University. He's an author, and all of you know that I'm very, very partial to authors. He's an author of 2 books, and we're going to ask him to show the books. The first one is Zebras and Cheetahs, How to Look Different and Stay Agile to Survive the Business Jungle. And the second one is Me, How to Sell Who You Are, What You Do, and Why You Matter to the World.
Yes, sir.
Colby is also the host of the GOAT Consulting podcast, and we'll talk about all these things. So, Colby, before we start talking about what you're doing at the university, tell me a little bit about your own journey.
Yeah, my journey starts with, I was born to 2 educators who taught me the way you take on the world is to become an educator and marry an educator and educate other people. And that works until you want things like lifestyle and freedom. And what we all find out in our careers, Ash, is that we have to reinvent ourselves. And listening to you in the different stages that you've moved through, from working in tobacco to working in aerospace to working in and bringing in GNC into India, at each stage you reinvented yourself. And so what I want to say to everyone that's listening today is this, and I teach everything in frameworks. Frameworks provide structure, predictability, and efficiency, and that's what people want, simplicity. In our 20s, they teach us to get in the game. They don't tell us what game to get into. They just say, hey, Ash, go get in the game. In our 30s, we move up in the game. In our 40s, we try to stay in the game because those 30-year-olds are so damn good.
Correct.
In our 50s, what the research says is we finally ask ourselves, what is it that I really want? And what I'm on a mission to do is to help students and adults get to that point in their life where they say, this is what I really want. Now, I used to stop at my 50s, and I was speaking out in Phoenix, and a guy raised his hand and said, hey, so I heard you say in your 50s, you say this is what you really want. What do you do in your 60s? And I didn't know what we did in our 60s because I'm not 60 yet. And so this guy's name was Bob. And I said, well, Bob, you tell me, you seem to be 60 or older. He said, well, if you're 50s, you say this is what you really want. In your 60s, you get it and do it.
Correct.
And I think that's the greatest opportunity. I think you're a great example of that. I think I'm a great example of that. Early in my life, here's what I said. Being born to those 2 coaches and teachers. I want to coach and teach on an ever increasing stage. And to be with you today in the brand called you and talking about our knowledge and our experience and our wisdom.
Correct.
It's around that idea of coaching and teaching on an ever increasing stage. I'll stop with this and say, I think we all have an opportunity to find our voice. I think that's the greatest opportunity in education. And voice is the intersection of talent and passion and conscience and need in the world. And I used to think it was about an ever increasing stage, coaching and teaching on an ever increasing stage. Today, here's where I'm at. And it's because of a moment that I had with an individual after speaking. She came up to me and she said, you have no idea. I had that message. I needed to hear it. It was the right time. It was the right place. And it's going to make me take action in my life. And so here's what I said to myself. I no longer care about the ever increasing stage. What I care about is deeper relationships with greater impact.
Amazing. Amazing. So, you work with students for, to help them achieve their success or achieve what they're setting out to do. What are some of the common challenges students face, and how do you help to address these?
Thank you. Yes, I think it starts with the story that we tell ourselves.
Correct.
We all have a narrative that's either been written for us or by us.
Mm.
And if we don't understand that narrative, we can't change. But here's the most important part. If the people that are helping us don't understand our narrative, they can't help us change.
Mm.
And narrative is like a record player with a needle playing that record. Most people that are watching this are young, not too old, not old enough to know about that, but a record and that groove telling that story over and over and over again.
Correct.
And so the story looks like this. The experiences that we have become our story. Our story becomes our identity.
Mm.
Our identity becomes our behavior, and our behavior drives our outcomes.
Correct. Well said.
It starts first with the story that you tell yourself. And the story that I used to tell myself were things like this. I am where I am because you put me there.
Mm.
Success is for somebody else, it's not for me. Maybe I'll do it one day.
Wow.
Maybe I'll go and try just a little bit and see where I get to. And then ultimately, I've been through all of those stages of my career. But ultimately, where I hope to move people to is a place that do it and achieve it. This is what I really want, and this is what I'm willing to do to get it. What I find more interesting than anything else in the work that I do is that when you were growing up and I was growing up, and you're a little bit ahead of me, but somebody would tell you to go and do it, and you'd go and do it. You have to tell these people exactly what to do. Correct. These generations after us, or they will not do it.
Well said. Great response. Thank you.
Sure.
And, my next question is that I understand some of the challenges students face, but how do you identify those individuals who are in need of additional support?
Yeah.
And how do you connect them with appropriate resources?
Yeah. Well, great question. And the reality is they find me.
Okay.
My mother, who was also my principal, so I would constantly be called to the principal's office in high school, sent me an article in 2017 from the Wall Street Journal. And the article was titled, "College Doesn't Buy Happiness." And it focused on a study out of Georgia Tech where 30,000 graduates were entered into the workforce. And the study wanted to identify, why did some graduates have well-being after they graduated and others didn't? They looked at social, physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, financial, professional well-being, and they isolated to one factor. Did the student have one meaningful relationship with a coach, a teacher, a mentor, an advisor? My mom wrote always wrote on yellow sticky notes when I was a kid, "Colby, do this, Colby, do this, Colby, do this." And she said, you've wanted to create meaningful relationships and have your entire career focus on this idea. So the center of what I do is first getting people to understand what meaningful relationships are. And the definition of a meaningful relationship is where Ash and Colby enter together through interdependence towards a common goal. What's the takeaway? The very first thing we have to do is get people to understand what the common goal is.
Correct.
Then the second thing we have to do is get them, and we don't teach this. This is not naturally taught in our society. We teach competition versus cooperation, but then it's to work together. What is the definition of interdependence? Working together. I rely on Ash. Ash relies on me. Together, 2 + 2 = 5. So that's the foundation of getting them to see it's their responsibility to build the meaningful relationship. This generation after us, they're sophisticated in many ways. They're naive in many ways. Correct. But they can feel in the first 3 minutes if you've got anything of value to offer them or not.
Correct. I agree completely. So my next question to you is that, for my viewers and listeners, can you give me an example of 1 or 2 strategies that you followed to be able to support students? No names, of course.
Yes. Well, actually, I'll give you the name because he's given me permission. I'll give you his first name. His name's Dawson. And my approach, so you'll love this, going through the evolution that you've gone through in your own career. The first iteration, I call it V1 philosophy. Before you can build V2, you got to build V1. And what stops most people is they don't build V1. So V1, if I could send you the picture, it's about 37 steps. It's ridiculous. No one has time to do 37 extra steps to find success. V5 today is really 6 steps. And it looks like this: personal assessment, personal coaching, personal change. I use something called Harrison assessment. It measures something called enjoyment performance theory. Think about how simple this is. The more you enjoy something, the higher level you'll perform it. The greater feedback that you'll get, the more you want to do it. Well, the same thing is true about the opposite, Ash. If you don't like something, you will not do it well. They will tell you you're bad at it, and you'll find a way to do it even less than you did.
Absolutely.
So it's, for my process, it starts with taking one assessment where I can pull 6 reports. Those 6 reports first start with your narrative. I have a narrative report that I can pull. The reason that I know that, my narrative is warmth, empathy, wants high pay, wants to lead, and influencing. Does that sound like me in the first 15 minutes of me knowing you? Yes. So I knew I had the right assessment. So I pull specific reports related to specific coaching sessions. And to answer your question, here is the greatest example. Dawson, 21 years old, scared, worried about his future, much like you and I were when we got started.
Correct.
I have a coaching sheet, and it's broken into 3 pieces: realization, result, activity.
Wow. Okay.
So the first thing that I say to answer your question about a specific strategy, the first thing that I say in a coaching session when we get done with my friend Dawson, who I keep up with on Facebook and has done very well, married, has doing the things that he wants to do, loves what he do, loves what he does, loves who he does it with, loves who he does it for. I said, Dawson, what's your greatest realization from our 30 minutes today? And he's sitting there waiting for me to give him the answer, because that's what this generation has been taught. That somebody else, there's only one answer, and it's in the back of the book, and you know it's not true. And so I finally looked at him and I said, Dawson, I'm not giving you the answer.
Correct.
What's the answer? And so Dawson wrote this on his coaching sheet: what I'm doing isn't working.
Great response. Amazing.
So I said, Dawson, there's 60-year-olds that haven't figured this out yet. What a great moment for a 21-year-old for himself to write, what I'm doing isn't working.
Absolutely.
So now he's drawn the line in the sand. So then if you go from realization, here's the difference between realization and result. What's the result from that realization? What's the conclusion? I need to focus on taking these tests so I can become certified in the area that I want to be a professional. Okay, I like that. That's great. All right, realization, result, then activity. What are you committed to doing in the next 30 days? I'm committed to taking these 3 tests and passing them. No, let's just start with 1.
Correct.
Get this 1 test, get that certification. Change in people is incremental. It does not happen in think, feel, do. It happens in do, feel, think. And he got that 1 certification, got that 2nd certification, got that 3rd certification. Fast forward 5 years later, he sends me this email: Dr. Jubenville, before I met you, I really thought that there was some imaginary finish line, that when I got done with college and I crossed that line, that I would have these opportunities. And what you taught me more than anything is there is no finish line.
Amazing.
What a beautiful moment for that child.
Absolutely. And this is such a powerful statement, that there isn't a finish line. I mean, as you get older, as you get more experience,
you know that
just keep moving forward. And for a young person to realize is big.
What did Deming say? And I'm a disciple. I took all these classes. I got my PhD when I was 29 years old, not because I'm smarter than anybody else, but because these 2 guys said I wasn't good enough to do it.
Correct.
And I walked back in and I got that graduate catalog and I read it cover to cover, and I said, I'm going to figure this out. And I took 1 class that fundamentally changed the trajectory of my life.
Mm.
And it was this one teacher, his name was Walter Cooper, and it was systems thinking and learning.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Deming's 14 points. And what does Deming say in those 14 points? The work is never done.
Correct. Correct. Great response. So I'm going to ask you one more question relating to the center, and then I'm going to move to your books. You know, as a professional, you're giving huge amounts of inputs to a lot of students who are benefiting from your inputs. My question to you is, what is the role of parents or guardians to be able to support their children or their wards towards success?
Well, you know this as well as I do, and it's the scripting that goes on in our life, and that scripting is directly tied to the narrative.
Correct.
And it's the story that we tell ourselves. And I see this, and I know you see this as well, at least I think you would, is that the role of the parent has shifted from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, 2000s to today. Parents used to be involved and used to set boundaries and show tough love. And today, with the forces that we have in play, starting with social media, the children are starved for accountability.
Wow.
They are starved to know where the line is. They are starved for the boundaries. So the role of the parent is, there's a great book out there. It's by Ben Sass, and it's called The Vanishing American Adult. And what the thesis of the book is that we have allowed children to operate as children all the way through their 20s. And what we know is that the 20s, the developmental sweet spot of their life. And I don't have to look too far at a child to understand the kind of relationship that they had with their parent. The issue today is not the children. It's what it's always been. It's the parent, and the role that they need to play starts with being the parent. And what does the parent do? The first thing that the parent does is set expectations. The need for achievement is taught. You're not born with the ability to achieve. Someone teaches that. So if you ask me, what's the role of the parent? Role number one is model expectations.
Very powerful. Well said. Well said. So, Colby, I'm going to now move to your books. You know, you've got two books. Before I ask you anything about the books, I'm going to ask all our viewers and listeners to go and check out Dr. Colby Jubenville's books on Amazon. I'm going to check them out, and I'll get my copies. So, tell me first about zebras and cheetahs, how to look different and stay agile to survive the business jungle. Tell me, what was your hypothesis when you wrote this book?
You know, I'm a college professor, and this was in 2013. And you know the joke about college professors, right? They say this: those who can do, and those who can't, what? What do they say? Teach, right? That's the joke.
Okay.
And then those who can't teach PE. That's the old Woody Allen joke. But here's what I figured out in failing. In walking across campus and saying, I could have done something with my life. How did I end up here? No one prepares us that the American dream is going to take you behind the woodshed and beat the hell out of you. No one tells us that.
Right.
And so I woke up to this idea that if you can do and teach, get paid for your value and not your time. And so Zebras and Cheetahs is a book about how to ultimately get paid for your value and not your time, and how to infuse that into organizations in a way that creates change, incremental change within organizations. It's about looking different. It's about staying agile, and it's ultimately about surviving the business jungle. Now, I tell people all the time, I think my books are great, but I wrote them. But here's what I will tell you, Ash. Lime Green is still 10 years later, very cool. That's one of the coolest covers you've ever seen.
Absolutely.
It's published by Wiley. So today, judge the book by its cover.
Great. Fabulous. And your second book, which is Me, How to Sell Who You Are, What You Do, and Why You Matter to the World. This seems to be almost what you are doing for so many students. But
Yes.
show me your book and tell me about your book.
So this is me, and you are coming to Nashville. And so one of the things that you have to see in Nashville is something called the Hatch Show Print. You've got to go and check out Hatch Show Print. So this kind of roll-on look and feel was made popular in the 50s and 60s for performers in Nashville. And it's called a Hatch Show Print. And so it looks like something you want to touch and feel. It looks very rich. It looks very old school. And so I asked my designer, I said, make it look like a Hatch show print. And he nailed it. So it's, you know, Apple has I, you've got you. So I called it me, how to sell who you are, what you do, and why you matter to the world. If there's not anything more important in the world than this, I don't know what is. Correct. But again, I think it's a great book, but today, judge it by its cover.
Correct. And then therefore, my follow-up question to you is, why do I matter to the world?
Why do you?
Why do I matter to the world?
Well, what a great question. Our conversation started with you coming to Nashville to celebrate the marriage of your children.
Correct.
Of one of your children. And so I've known from a very early age. My son Jack is 21, and he plays basketball at MTSU. And the day he was born, he came out. I said to him, I stuck my little pinky out, and he grabbed it. And I said, man, I've been waiting on you for my whole life. Let me say why you matter to the world. And I want your whole audience to hear this. The most basic need of people is to connect and feel connected. Correct. Connection is why we're here. It's hardwired into our DNA. And so we're all of us are searching for purpose, meaning, connection. All of that starts with reflecting and saying, what is it that I want from this world? What is it that I'm what I have factory installed to me in my life and me that doesn't seem like work for anybody else? If you look up the statistics of the odds of being born into this world, it's 1 in 400 trillion. Correct. What John Maxwell says, what Mark Twain says, what so many people have said is the two most important days are the day that you're born and the day that you find out why. Yeah, correct. The process that I've created, that 6-step, elegant, simple process starts first with understanding your narrative, the story that you tell yourself, and then how to write a better narrative for the future. Fascinating. And it might have tough time for one more question, Colby, and this is for the thousands of people who will listen to our conversation. Based on the incredible understanding you have about coaching, success, working with thousands of students over your career, what would you say are 3 lessons you would want a lot of our young viewers and listeners to take away? I think the very first thing that you have to understand is defining what your definition of success is. We're taught that success is so many different things. Athletes may say it's picking yourself up off the ground one more time. Yeah. Some might say it's the continued expansion of happiness. Yeah. Some might say it's the setting and achieving of worthy goals. What I believe and what I teach is that Thoreau said success is to advance confidently in the direction of your own dream and to endeavor to live a life that only you can imagine, where you will find uncommon success in common hour. Fantastic. Okay. All of those 3 things are wrapped up into that one idea. Let's look through it and break it down. Number 1, the very first thing we have to teach people how to do is advance confidently. We don't do that in the world today. What is advancing confidently? If you ask people what confidence is, here's what they'll tell you. It's belief. If you ask people what belief is, what do they believe past God, family, country, they can't tell you what they believe. Here's a different way of looking at confidence. To me, confidence is asking for help, building trusting relationships, trying new things, being open to feedback. There's 4 beautiful ideas. Asking for help. We don't teach people to do that.
Correct.
How ask for help, build trusting relationships.
Yeah.
You know as well as I do that after you and I have this podcast together, and if you text me or call me and say, hey, Colby, I need you to help me do this, you know that I'm going to do it because of the energy that I brought today.
Correct.
And that I care about people on the same level that you do.
Correct.
Trying new things. And here's the most important one, Ash, being open to feedback, because here's what I teach.
Yeah.
Feedback is where you learn the most. I don't care what anybody else says. I don't care if you say you learn from failure. I don't care if you say you learn from podcasts. You learn from people who are better than you.
Correct.
That can give you specific feedback and say, you need to change this. You need to look. When I played college football, look where your hands are. Look where your eyes are. Look where your feet are. All those are specifically related to do what? Get you to get in a better place.
Well
Feedback's
said.
where you learn the most.
Well said. Well said. And on that note, Colby, and your amazing points that you've just given me, define success and its meaning for you. I think that is such a powerful comment, because success means different things to different people. Second, you said was advance confidently. Third, which is again so critical and most of us don't do, which is ask for help when you need it. There are people around who would be more than happy to help you. Next one you said was build meaningful relationships. And the last one, which was so amazing, was be open to feedback. Thank you, Colby, for speaking to me about your own journey. Thank you for speaking to me about all the great work that you're doing at the Center for Student Coaching and Success at the Middle Tennessee State University. Thank you also for speaking to me about both your books, which I'm sure our viewers and listeners will check out, and I will do the same. Thank you again, and good luck to you.
Thank you, Ash, and thank you for the brand called You.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.